Welcome back. We've got a question now from Malkwe. Go ahead, please.
Well, thank you, Chamberlain. I was just wondering, Mr. Adegboruwa, do you think that we will ever be able to agree on the definition of restructuring? Because it means different things for different people. At the heart of it, for instance, a number of people believe that what they're asking is for the federal government to shed weight even within the current system. So we still have the central federal accounts allocation system, but perhaps the federal government shouldn't be getting the over 50% it currently gets. Some other people believe that it should be resource control. Do you think we can achieve a consensus on what restructuring would mean?
Thank you, Malkwe. The first thing is, first of all, to agree that there's need for it. Let there be a consensus that there's need for it. At the round table, at the point of that restructuring, then we then define it. Because if somebody says, my business is cattle rearing, you can't hold him down to say he shouldn't rear the cattle or that he shouldn't be allowed to graze. But you say, look, let's impose conditions. Don't carry arms. Don't threaten me. Don't impose religion on me. Don't impose your faith on me. But of course, if other people say, my own business is education, then you don't tie them down. So we must get to that level when we will define that restructuring in terms of the content, in terms of its execution. It can be resource control to you. It can be devolution of powers to you. It can be less power to the federal, to some other people. It can be allowance for pastoralists to move around. It can be anything, but we must then sit down to agree on that definition. But to say you won't do it at all, it's a gunpowder that we are sitting upon. We must do it. Because if you look at what is going on,
don't you think that we have the consensus that we're seeking right now? I mean, it would seem that more and more the calls for it is getting louder. Don't you think that that already by itself is building the consensus? Because you said that we need to answer whether or not we need it in the first instance.
No, we must situate the calls, and it's very important. Let it not be that it is the time that a particular section of the country is in control of power that the voice is louder. We must be committed to it as a permanent agenda. Because the impression I get now is that people are agitating because, I mean, there's a particular section of the country that is in charge, which shouldn't be so. The resource control, restructuring should be loud under Obasanjo, it should be loud under Jonathan, it should be loud under Osibajo, it should be loud under Buhari. Irrespective of whoever is in power, our own is to ensure that we get that agenda. And it's not in the way that politicians are asking. The resource control, the devolution of power, the state police we're asking for is the one that will translate into good governance. It's the one that will translate into empowerment of our people. And that's why we must be careful not to jump into the ship of the politicians and ex-generals. The one that Nigerians are asking for is to get this constitution to specify the powers, to specify the resources, to specify the opportunities that Nigerians will have in general. If it does not affect this document, I'm not for that at all. It will be a political statement that is just meant to transfer power from one political class to another political class, and we'll still remain where we are.
Administration. Didn't we have that under President Obasanjo? If you can hear me.
I can hear you.
Yeah, we had that under President Obasanjo. We also had that under the government of President Yar'Adua, which, you know, dovetailed into the 2014 National Conference under President Goodluck Jonathan. And then it would seem that even that has followed the Buhari administration now, which is being managed by the acting president, Professor Yemi Osinbajo. Haven't we had that for long enough?
No, President Obasanjo's conference was to enable him acquire power through a third-term agenda, which failed woefully. The Jonathan political conference was meant to extend his tenure, to buy people into ensuring that he is re-elected, and that also failed. So those two programs were tailored towards ensuring that the originators and the authors of those programs perpetuate themselves in power. It was not with the intent of genuinely affecting the foundation of Nigeria. The ones we are agitating for is the one that originates from the people, involving our people, our people. The right to self-determination is in the Constitution. It's in the African Charter. You don't go and take gun and be shooting people in the Southeast because they say they want to secede. Let's sit down together and find out the reasons why they are agitating. Are they truly marginalized? Is this country behaving as if the Igbos don't exist? And if that is the answer, then you can't shut them up. So if you say that people shouldn't talk, if you say that people should not agitate, if you say that people should not quarrel, that can't be a nation. Because some people are benefiting from it, right from all the political class. So it's convenient for the vice president to now ignore the agenda that upon which he was elected into office. That is totally immoral. And I think we should get the vice president, whether in acting capacity or in substantive capacity, to ensure that restructuring takes place before 2019. And it's very important.
That'll be a really tall order. But do you think we can ever agree on state police? Because I hear people say, look, how do we now agree? Now that there's this call for Biafra, there's quick notice, there are different groups calling for different things. What will become of the call for state police?
There's state police in Lagos already. The governor of Lagos State has set up a vigilante outfit by which he has recruited people, and they are all over the place. There's state police in Osun, whereby the governor himself has also empowered some people. What we mean by state police is not about, you see, this agenda of police in uniform and carry gun is from the colonialists. When they were getting the army and the police to subdue our people to agree with the colonial government and the tax regime. The police we have now is not the one that is in the interest of Nigerians. What we mean by police is a friendly organization. It's a friendly outfit that is working with the community to prevent crime. So they don't need to bear arms.
They don't need to bear arms?
No, the police is not about carrying guns and shooting people and extorting money and collecting bribe. It's a friendly entity whereby you partner with the people to pick out criminals, to ensure that they gather intelligence, they know the places where people are doing banner and everything, and they're able to nip them in the bud from spreading to violence. That is policing. It's intelligence. The police that holds you down, arrests you because you are fighting with landlord and tenant, because businessmen are fighting together, because there's dispute on land, that is not our own police. So there's police in Lagos, there's police in Osun, and there are policemen in other areas. They should go it all around the country.
Are we at a crossroad? Because when you look at the discussions, you have unity, the call for unity, the call for cessation, and the call for restructuring, going back to back. Do you think that the government is able to see through all these barriers in preaching its unity words that it's been carrying around by the acting president? Is he able to see translating from unity preaching to restructuring?
You cannot have unity without justice. Once there's justice missing, then the unity becomes a mirage, it becomes a dream. It's built on the foundation of justice and equity. And if you look at the motto of Nigeria, there must be progress, there must be equity, there must be justice, and there must be unity. So if people feel marginalized, genuinely, I'm not talking about criminals or people who want to go and siphon oil in Niger Delta and are agitating. We people feel genuinely marginalized by reason of lack of infrastructure, by reason of lack of appointment, by reason of lack of federal presence, such as in the southeast as is happening now. I think it's proper that we gather together and listen to the reasons for that agitation. Otherwise, you can't force the people together. And unless there is peace, there can be development. And if you continue like this, there's agitation, quit notice, there is agitation, militants here, there can't be any development. The vice president will be deceiving himself to think that he can be preaching the message of unity in the absence of justice.
That's why we're anchor. Ebolu Adegboruwa is a legal practitioner. We appreciate you coming on today.
Thank you, sir.
We're back in a moment and focus on this one more time before we move on to something else in just a moment. Join us again.